The billion-dollar industry. Not very many industries are known as the billion-dollar industry, but one of them is the NCAA. The NCAA is the National College Athlete Association. In the year of 2016 and 2017, the NCAA hit its first revenue marker of $1 billion. Most of that $1 billion came from the March Madness tournament, which is held in March, and then the finals are held in April. That accumulated around $700 million of the $1 billion. The NCAA in 1906 was introduced as a means of protecting youth from the dangers of sports. In that time, sports were far less organized, and they were resulting in a lot of injuries and even death. So the colleges and the NCAA had two options: to either continue with this dangerous way of organizing sports, or to rethink and reform the entire aspects of sports. So they had this push for a reform, and that led to a substantial increase in structuring a different type of organization over the years. And from the history, we can see that there has been a natural progression in a more complex program, meaning they're more, intertwined with the financial and media aspect of things. There's no doubt that this industry will continue to grow over the next couple years. One can say it's actually hit its first marker of its huge growth. It's adjusted to make players safer and the game also safer, and it's also adjusted to protect more youth and give them the opportunity to get more scholarships and funds like that. I am going to introduce Sammy, who will be talking about what we will be discussing in this presentation, and I'll leave it up to Sammy.
There has been recent discussions about college athletes and whether or not they should be compensated. Some argue that scholarships are more than enough. However, college athletes participating in Division I sports should have the opportunity to make income from their hard work and abilities. In this report, we will discuss the benefits of compensating college athletes and the process of how individuals can help carry this change out. Furthermore, this report will discuss the objective of the National College Players Association and how their goals are a step closer to making the NCAA a more efficient organization. And Paoa.
So there are many benefits to paying college athletes. So a lot of times college athletes will get injured. According to the NCPA, the National College Player Association, the NCAA states that it has no duty to protect athletes when they get injured. So through paying college athletes, it could help them pay for their health problems when they get injured, freak accidents, stuff like that. Another reason is a lot of athletes that are playing college sports come from low-class families, and it's kind of hard to find a good balance between playing and doing college and supporting their family. So if you were to pay the players, that can eliminate that problem. The NCPA also helps with making sure that athletes keep their scholarships all 4 years. There's been many cases where athletes get injured or they make one mistake and their scholarship is gone after 1 year. It's just not right to judge them based off of one thing and kick them off after 1 year. So I really urge to support the NCPA, and here's Lee to talk about the goals.
Alright, so my name is Lee, and for me, we tried to find the biggest organization that could help benefit college athletes, and the NCPA is what we found to be the most effective. The NCPA has a mission to protect future, former, and current athletes that play in college sports. They have 10 goals that they listed on their website, ncpanow.org, And I'm going to list these goals and give reasonings to why they established these goals. The first goal that they wanted to establish was mandatory and health safety standards to minimize college athletes' risk of abuse, injury, and death from brain trauma, heat illness, and other conditions. The NCAA doesn't enforce safety and health standards, and this could result into players being hurt and suffering repercussions because of it. There's one situation where a coach can knowingly put a player that is injured into the game, and what happens after that is up to the player's risk. The second goal that the NCPA established was increasing scholarship money to cover all costs. The thing about about college scholarships is that they don't provide enough money for the college players to pay for essentials that they need to live. The third goal that they want to establish is preventing players from being stuck paying sports-related medical expenses. Not only do they not have enough to pay for essentials, basic essentials, they also don't have enough to pay for injuries if they happen to get hurt, and that's just plain wrong. The fourth goal they want to establish is increasing graduation rates with an educational trust fund. The ultimate goal for a college athlete is to be able to pay for to be able to get a degree when they're done. Not every athlete plays professional sports after they graduate. So in order to make an income, they need to be able to graduate and get a degree. The fifth is to protect educational opportunities for college athletes in good standing. Some players don't always end up playing sports for all 4 years, but some players do plan on graduating. And if you eliminate the player from the team, it doesn't mean that they should be eliminated from their scholarship, which they were planning on using to graduate college. The sixth goal that the NCPA established was to prohibit universities from using a permanent injury suffered during athletics as a reason to eliminate a scholarship. So not only do the player might be able to get injured and not be able to pay for their expenses, but they could risk being reduced a scholarship. Now this basically means that the student is screwed if he doesn't have any money, and now he can't even play a sport, he can't go to school, and it's just all plain wrong. The seventh goal is to eliminate restrictions on players' ability to earn compensation from use of their name, image, likeness, and ability to secure legal representation. This is important because players should be able to make money off of their personality, their traits, and things that have basically stardom for them. If they're a star athlete, they should be able to make money because it doesn't do any harm to the university, and in which case, if they're in these endorsements, in these commercials, they can actually make a bigger name for not only themselves, but also the university itself. And the eighth goal is to prohibit the punishment of college athletes that have not committed a violation. So this goal was established because some players might have their seasons cut short because of what a fan might have done, and it had nothing to do with them as an athlete. Now these athletes, they play for an opportunity to play pro. They have an opportunity to play in a big stage and make a name for themselves. And when you cut that short, it simply isn't fair if a player doesn't get that opportunity because of what a fan did or what some student did. And the ninth goal is the NCPA wants to establish college athletes are granted an athletic release from the university if they want to transfer schools. Schools should not have the power to refuse college athletes that choose to transfer. If a player might have valid reasons on why they want to transfer schools, maybe it was the professors they had, maybe it was a situation that went down that they want to move on from, and this might not have to do with the college at all, and maybe it's the system that they were in, the sport they played. Maybe it didn't work out and they feel like they can have a bigger opportunity to play somewhere else. But that won't be the case if you enforce this rule where they have to sit out an entire year just because they transferred schools. The last and final goal, which is the 10th goal, is to allow college athletes of all sports the ability to transfer schools one time without punishment. There's certain sports such as football, basketball, baseball, and ice hockey, where they are not allowed to play because of 1 year penalty, while other sports other than the names that I just mentioned are allowed to play. So those are the 10 goals that the NCPA have listed, and now I'm going to move on to Timothy.
So Zion Williamson is projected to be the #1 pick in the upcoming draft. However, it wasn't always smooth sailing for him. In a game on February 20th against Duke and North Carolina was a high anticipated game. And on the first play of the game, Zion was injured and had to leave the game. The good news is that it was a minor injury and he was able to recover. However, what would happen if it was a serious injury and he was out for an extended amount of time? Not only would Zion's ranking in the NBA draft would go down, but he would lose millions of dollars as teams would not risk picking him for his injuries. In that game, that was a big game where the NCAA made lots of profits and revenue from Zion's name himself. He's one of the most up-and-coming stars, and he gets zero dime out of everything. He doesn't even get compensation for his injury. Is it really fair that he brought in all this revenue for the organization only to be cut short from the revenue? Next is coaches. In the NBA and in the NBA, coaches get paid. In college, coaches get paid. However, in college, players don't get paid, even though it's kind of unfair that coaches, they just tell the players what to do and they get paid. However, the players get none of it, despite going out and risking injury and any fatigue. Next up will be Trevor to conclude this report.
All right, so as you've heard, the NCAA does not exactly do the best to compensate their players for the money that they bring into the organization. The NCPA is the organization that we've talked about throughout this presentation, and we recommend that everyone go and donate to them, as they are the leading force in trying to make sure that the rights of players in the NCAA are increased. We've seen that players do not benefit from injuries, which is unfair as it can damage their future earnings. And it's important to understand that not all college athletes are going to go on to play pro. So keeping scholarships and things like that are incredibly important for these lower tier athletes, as that's kind of what they rely on as far as their athletics goes, is just to further along their education. We hope that you've enjoyed the presentation, and that's it.